Hello everyone, Michael Mechanical here with a video update on a bit of a project I started doing since thinking about all the defects with the cars. Essentially I decided, I want to find a checklist. I want to actually see what defects are with the vehicle currently, or the vehicles currently. I was thinking, let's make a list of all the defects we can find with the vehicles and see which one has the most things defectable. However, it's not accurate enough. I believe that the document that I read does not really provide a very good checklist. It isn't a checklist. It's more of a thing that tells you what things will be inspected if taken to inspection, in which I'm using that information to write down my own stuff. And it's got little issues with it that I need to actually fix up to get the most out of this checklist. So to be very clear, this is not true or accurate, the information I'm about to present with the vehicle, as it hasn't been completely inspected. It's just from memory, which could also not be reliable since things over time do corrode and then things stop working, in which case we don't know if it actually is functioning right here, right now, because there's no power on it, there is no driveline together. It's all getting progressively worked on to the point where it can be driven, and then this list can then be actually tested and checked against. But I'm also looking for defects with this list to find things that need to be corrected, which have not been corrected, in which case when we do actually defect our own cars, that this list is true, accurate, and has enough sufficient information here to say, is it legal or is it not? So let's start at the very, very, very top, okay? I shouldn't actually put all this information in. I'm actually going to do something quickly, if you don't mind. Give me a pen. I just want to do this because it's just a checklist. Scribble some stuff out because I don't want information being revealed. Blah, 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 blah. And then I'll just scribble that out because honestly, this is like a test. And this is a terrible test. So here we go. That's more than enough information that's been scrubbed. So this is the checklist. I actually turn off my monitor. So this is the checklist, and what it looks like is something like this one. So automotive defects checklist in accordance with to MR857, defect light vehicles in South Australia 2.17. That's the revision number, 2.17. Then essentially we have a date in which the vehicle was checked, which it hasn't actually been checked at any date. It's just memory stuff. So this is cheating. The print number is 3 because we have 2 more down here, which are pretty much fails. The number up there is wrong, and all the details in here is a little bit wrong. So essentially, not really good information to have. The reason we have a print number up the top here is because we need to make sure that all the documentation stays together as best as possible for each and every vehicle. There is no way for me to automatically currently, at this point in time, automatically update information. It's not like generate the information, then print it off, then all the information's there. So I've gone over it, and there's a bunch of information here for the electrical system. There are things with the electrical system that are meant to be there. There's things that aren't there. And the reason I haven't marked reversing lights if equipped is because I don't recall if it had reversing lights or not. I think it did. I can't remember. So I can't really give it a point for that. And that's because some vehicles never came out with the reversing lights. So if equipped with reversing lights, is it compliant or not? And they can actually check this one up, the reversing lights, because that was not... that was a thing with the XWs... XYs, something along those lines. They didn't come equipped with reversing lights, and some of the newer vehicles didn't either, but most vehicles these days do have reversing lights. It makes it actually quite easier to reverse somewhere when you don't have lights at the rear. They're like your headlights, but for the rear of the vehicle. Fog lights, dash illumination, horn, window wipers, engine, because the engine's not in there, we don't know all this information. We can't say yes, we can't say no to all that stuff. But it was excessively oil leaking. I'm not writing that here because progress is progress. And we're almost there. Original or approved seatbelts. There is a bit of... They don't retract. The rear seats don't retract. The front seats do retract, so the front ones are approved. original. The ones in the middle of the car are approved seat belts, and the ones in the rear probably factory. I'm not even sure. Belts are secured. All this information here is true and accurate, except for all child restraints easily accessible with no modifications, because I don't know the answer to that one off by heart. So, next page. More information on the next page. And it also says here, revision, blah, blah, blah. So go to the top. I didn't do the body or chassis information because I don't know, except I know it has mud guards. All the mud guards are there, but it's just not completely bolted back together again. So yes, the mud guards are there. They're not covering the tires because they're in progress of getting work done, but it's still, approvable, because just put the bolt in and it'll be good. Complete exhaust system mounted correctly. Yes, because it was good. It didn't have leaks or noises. The outlet of the vehicle is to the back of the vehicle. Yes. Wheels and tires. Wheel studs, yes, because I checked them recently. Buckled or cracked or bent rims. No, they weren't. So yes, this is approved. Tires in good condition with sufficient tread depth. No. Spare, not legal. And the rear tires barely legal to be replaced. Now here's the thing. When you go to Regency and you get your tires checked and they've got just a little bit more than enough meat on them, and they're essentially close to being illegal, they'll tell you you have to replace those tires. So it literally, if it's pretty close to being worn out, that they don't know if you're going to replace them or not, you should just replace them before you go to Regency, so they don't say your tires, while they are still legal, they need to be replaced. Do it so that when you go to Regency, they're actually replaced and they've actually been done, because you're not going to drive it like this. They won't like it. If you got pulled over by the cops over the tire tread depth, you probably wouldn't get booked, because it'll be like, go replace your tires soon, mate. Don't replace them when you're on the limit. Replace them now if you can. That's the dealio. Tires of correct size, type, and load rating. Yes, because it's not a heavy vehicle. It's just a SUV. Aftermarket wheels. They're actually the original manufactured wheels. I don't know if they have these numbers here, but they are the original manufacturer's wheels. The wheel track within specified limits. I don't know. I can't measure. I don't know. I'll have to go look into that information. Suspension and steering. No excessive wear or free play. And I say no because passenger side shocker has too much free play. It literally rocks so much on that passenger side shocker. So they're getting replaced. And it is going to be done soon. So that's 2 defects on this one page. But this one's almost done. Next up is no component bent, broken, cracked, heated, or welded. I haven't actually checked, so I don't actually know. Sufficient ground clearance to meet legal requirements. Yes, because it is legal. You can fit a can under the car, and it was all factory level. It wasn't too low, it wasn't too high. It was literally the factory height. So is it? There's only the 2 red ones currently thus far. There is no more oh, here we go. Suspension steering, yes. Hoses, yes. Brakes operate evenly, no. In progress by client, slow, fast, warped rotor. That's the rear that we're doing currently. All hoses, calipers, the rear calipers need to be serviced, but they're a part of the reason why on the other page. I think it was on the other page. Oh, that was tires and shockers. This is brakes, so that's 3 defects in total, but that's counted as 4 because of individual units, but that's 3 defects essentially. So there's brakes, there's a defect in brakes, there's defect. Okay, so that's 2 actual defects. There's a defect in wheels and tires. There's a defect in the brakes. I'm pretty sure we're at almost the end of the list. And then here's the last part of the list. So yes. And then there's all your points. 25 out of 57 points have been received. So, like I said, this is not true. It's not accurate. It's a work in progress. This list is like a guide. It's more like a guide than it is an actual proper check. If I could tick every single one of the boxes in this document, I could essentially go to Regency. I mean, if I can say yes to everything, I could go to Regency, get a safety certificate for the vehicle, and it will be classified as a safe vehicle on the road. I could even probably get the amount that the vehicle was worth based on what we spent on it, because it's actually legal. It literally has this legal documentation. No one can just say, after showing them that you have this safety certificate for the vehicle, they can't just lowball you and say, $1,000, mate, because that would be before the safety check was undertaken. People would be like, $1,000, mate, take it off your hands for $1,000, because they look at it and it's like, I don't know what's wrong with it. I don't know if there's anything good or bad or anything right or wrong with it. All I know is, you want to sell it, I'll give you $1,000 for it. Because if you had the safety certificate, if you had that certificate, you could probably say everything you spent on it is true and accurate, because you have a government certificate that says this is all good components and it's all driveline worthy and all that stuff. And essentially, someone would try to lowball you, and if they did that, go away. I've got a safety certificate. I've already spent the money on this thing. If you want it for free, you're not getting it for free. Sorry, but you're going to go now. You're going to leave. You can't have this vehicle. There's a reason to also look at it from that perspective. Before you get the safety certificate, someone offers you $1,000 for a car you spent about $5,000 on, and it's all brand new stuff. If they wanted to pay you $1,000 for $5,000 in work and parts, come on, that's a rip-off. Because we've spent money, we spent time, we've invested into this thing that someone else wants, but they're not willing to pay you what it's worth. Then, if we go to the point where we're talking about Regency, right? If they were to do whatever the vehicle say, hey, it's legal for an extra $300, and you had that safety certificate to say, yes, it's legal, it's roadworthy, no defects found, and someone was to come up to you and was interested in buying your car for you, if you had that safety certificate, you have the leverage to say, this is what it's worth. But some people will ask for the service history, in which if you can't provide that, that is when they try to, screw you over. But if you've got a rebuilt motor in there, then essentially the service history is null and void, because it's been rebuilt, it's been reconditioned. That service history was for the prior driveline components. It's got a new engine in it. You now have essentially this thing where you've essentially got to say, it's got these service things to be done to it now, and it's all brand new stuff. So if someone came up to us and offered us $5,000 for it, and it was before, it'd be like, that would be fair. But if it was like after, yeah, that's also fair. It's worth it. So, if this vehicle, this white Pajero, was all painted, all the work that we're doing to it, if it's all done, and you guys saw it with a safety certificate, would you pay what we spent on it to have this vehicle? What this means, in your case and scenario, is you don't have to have no work done to it. It is literally one of those vehicles where someone else has done the work, they've spent the time on it, and then you're buying it with that work already done on it, and you can just use it. They couldn't use it straight away. They literally had to wait and wait and wait and wait and do work and do work and do work until they got to the point where they could use it. And you can just buy it, $5,000, and drive it. It'd be like saying, if I spent $5,000 on this car and someone offered me $1,000 for it, and I've already spent money on the parts, and I haven't even gotten to use it, and I was essentially like, sure, yeah, you can have it for $1,000. That's ripping me off, because essentially I haven't done nothing with it. I've just finished work on it, and you've taken it from me, and I've made a loss, and you've made a huge gain through my loss. And essentially that's how the world is a bit these days. If you want to sell it for something like that, and you have a reason to want to sell it for that lower price, like, you have to get rid of it because you have something more important or more exciting you want to work on, and it's a legitimate thing. Because I know in the industry, people can essentially, there's a lot of ways to do it, and there's the one specific way I know people can do it is essentially, someone walks up to you and says, would you want to buy this car for a few $100s. I heard you wanted something like this, and it's like you got excited about it, and it's like, yeah, sure. And it's like you have no money. Okay, I'm gonna sell this car. I'll try to get what I can for it. Okay, sweet. You walk away. You put your ad on Gumtree or something, and you say you want a few grand for it. Only one person approaches you, and they offer you pretty much the money you need for it, and you go and you sell the car. Then the other guy who said they're going to sell you a car, you go to him and say, I'm able to buy it now. He might come around and say, no, sorry, mate, I'm not selling. You just sold your car to someone because this guy came up to you and said, you want to buy my car. And so you had a reason to want to sell a car, to which now he doesn't want to sell his car to you. So you cannot get, you just lost your car. You've lost the deal that was, you thought was genuine, but it wasn't. There's a lot of things to be careful of in the world because you can get screwed left, right, and center. If someone offers you a car, if you don't have the money on the spot to buy it, sort of thing, and you want that car, you should either just buy it right then and there or forget about it. Don't take chances on your investments. Don't sell something because someone's setting you up to want to sell that because they know you want something like this, but they know that they don't want to sell it. They just want to tempt you into it so they can set you up to sell your car so then they can now have both cars. It's something that was going through my mind the other day because people wanted to buy my car off of me, and I've had a couple of times people have said, you want to buy my car off of me, and I've noticed this thing where I felt like someone wants to buy my car and they're saying they want me to sell, they want to sell me a car I don't have the money for. And I'm like, no. I always said no because, well, I got a little bit excited for a moment. The first thing I was thinking of is selling my car. And then when I put my car up, people would only offer me $1,000 for it. And so it was one of those positions where it's like, nah. I know I need to speedfully sell this car if I want to get something, but it's not worth it. I've already spent a lot of money on this, and I have committed myself to going full out on two of the cars that we've got. The Pajero isn't really mine, but I am sort of going full out on that because it's going to be Dad's new car once my cars are going, and it's going to replace his V6, which keeps breaking down and having issues. We've only just found out yesterday that he's got a spark issue, and it's not the spark, it's not probably the coil. It literally stops firing for microseconds or something. I put the halogen on the wrong lead on purpose. It wasn't working, but when I got it into a certain position, it would just, you'd see a light flickering, right? Because I want to see how many times it sparks and if it's consistent or inconsistent. So if it goes up and down, that's consistency. And as soon as it stops, up, down, that's your firing. And if there's any pause in that firing, it means there is something wrong with the way it times your firing order. And it'll be before the coil. It'll be either at the coil or before the coil. That's when it will occur. So, essentially, guys, don't fall victim to a scam of someone selling your car that you want to sell your car, that you sell your car, that you can't buy the car that was offered to you. It is literally one of those things which could actually happen. I haven't heard of anything like that happening, but if it did happen, you'd be in a world of hurt. And it would suck. You'd have no car, everything gone. And you can't have the thing you want because someone, ployed you with it. Anyway, guys, I'm going to end this video here. Thank you for watching. Have a great day or night wherever you are in the world. And this is the Pajero ND 1987 import diesel.